Welcome, listeners, to the Uncanny Valley podcast. Tonight, we're embarking on a journey into 4 extraordinary accounts, each a chilling reminder that our reality might be, well, far more fragile and perplexing than we assume. We'll delve into classified operations, ancient mysteries, medical puzzles, and unsettling cults, all hinting at a hidden world just beyond our perception, a world that really pushes the boundaries of everything we think we know.
Indeed. And these aren't just, isolated incidents. They're profound glimpses behind the curtain, showcasing how human ingenuity and, frankly, sheer ignorance alike can stumble upon forces that defy every scientific and logical framework we hold dear.
Right.
We'll explore not only what happened in these unsettling cases, but the profound implications for our understanding of the universe. And maybe more importantly, the often terrible choices made when confronted with the truly uncanny.
Yeah.
The common thread here, for you listening, is how often these encounters force people to operate in these deep moral gray zones, making decisions that are almost as disturbing as the threats themselves.
Okay, let's begin unpacking our first report, though. Our story starts in the cold vacuum of low Earth orbit with a mission shrouded in, like, the deepest secrecy, codenamed BLACKSAT. The stated objective sounded simple enough. A strange satellite needed a peculiar kind of attunement, whatever that means. But from the very beginning, red flags weren't just flying, they were practically screaming.
Yeah.
We're talking about a crew of elite astronauts, the best of the best, right? But alongside them were 2 non-astronaut civilians who, by all conventional standards, should never have been allowed within 100 miles of a space mission, let alone launched into orbit.
Yeah, and one striking aspect here is just how severe these medical disqualifications were, and yet they were completely ignored. It's wild.
Tell me about it.
We're talking about Dr. Bruce Weintraub and a man known as Pierce O'Neill, who also went by Alfred Kannisinger.
Okay.
Dr. Turner, the flight surgeon, flagged Weintraub for alarming asthma, chronic gastroesophageal reflux, significant spinal issues like really bad hypertension, with a blood pressure reading of 25/95.
Wow. Not exactly peak physical condition.
Not even close.
Yeah.
He was also carrying an extra 40 pounds and was simply not fit for the extreme rigors of spaceflight. I mean, just the G-forces alone.
Right.
Then there's O'Neill, an even more severe case, if you can believe it.
Seriously, how much worse?
His blood pressure was an alarming 150/100, his lung capacity dismal, and there was an estimated 50-50 chance of blood vessels in his eyes rupturing during takeoff.
Oh my God.
And even more terrifying, Dr. Turner estimated a 1 in 10 chance of him suffering a fatal heart attack and a 1 in 5 chance of a massive embolism during launch.
And they still put him on the shuttle.
Yep. Despite these life-threatening conditions, both men were deemed absolutely crucial, overriding all standard safety protocols. It really begs the question, what could possibly be so important that you would gamble with human lives in such a flagrant way?
You know, it's absolutely mind-boggling, isn't it? What kind of hidden agenda, what kind of power could possibly justify such a blatant disregard for established safety and for, human life?
Yeah.
Clearly, the mission had a much deeper, hidden purpose. Their work, it turns out, involves something called hypergeometry and the Cortis equations.
Yes. Hypergeometry.
Now, this isn't just theoretical physics. It's described as a profound, radical departure from conventional science. Weintraub himself described his understanding of it in a truly unsettling way, speaking of thoughts as being real even beyond the brain and capable of attracting energy.
Right. The key insight here is the notion that human consciousness isn't merely observing reality, but actively shaping it.
Shaping it? How?
Well, this concept, central to the cryptic white paper left by the long-dead Cortis, suggests our thoughts aren't confined to our brains. They possess an energetic reality capable of influencing the physical world. It lays the foundation for what the mission documents explicitly called impossible things.
Impossible things.
And O'Neill, for his part, characterized hypergeometry as observer-dependent in a way that would make Heisenberg's uncertainty principle look like, child's play. He suggested consciousness itself as a form of mathematics.
Consciousness as math. Okay, that's a bit out there.
It gets weirder. He even drew parallels between these complex equations and ancient spells or rituals practiced by historical figures like the accused witch Keziah Mason back in the late 1600s. He claimed they were all forms of hypergeometric manipulation.
Whoa, wait, so spells and witchcraft are advanced math?
According to O'Neill, yeah. It feels less like science and more like a carefully orchestrated foray into the forbidden,
Definitely.
And from a broader perspective, what we see here is precisely why their medical conditions were overlooked. Their lives, and the lives of the astronauts were secondary to unlocking this potentially universe-altering power.
The stakes must have been astronomical.
The implications of thoughts attracting energy, of consciousness being a form of mathematics, they're truly profound. It suggests a reality far more malleable than we currently perceive, where the line between thought and physical manifestation is incredibly thin, maybe even non-existent. And O'Neill's background is a genuine occultist who experienced spectacular extrasensory visions every 7 years. Well, that further highlights that the mission wasn't just about scientific discovery. It was about harnessing something truly arcane, something that falls squarely outside our traditional understanding of the universe.
So he wasn't just a mathematician.
No, he was brought into Project Red Light, this government initiative exploring exotic mathematics, specifically because of his unique insights and his ability to even suggest safety measures for such dangerous endeavors. They needed someone who could bridge the gap between hard science and the utterly inexplicable.
And as the mission unfolded, the true nature of their desperation became horrifyingly clear. What struck me as particularly chilling, looking through these classified documents, was the mention of kill switches.
Ah, yes. The kill switch.
Embedded in the astronaut spacesuits. These weren't for self-preservation in an emergency, were they?
No. They were designed to release nerve gas, explicitly as a means to complete the mission, even at the cost of a human life.
Unbelievable.
Colonel Woolrich, the ground control commander, was desperate. He invoked absolute necessity for the mission's completion. Weintraub at one point even implored O'Neill to let these people live, kill me, not them, which reveals the horrific plan to sacrifice an astronaut, presumably to fuel O'Neill's work on BLACKSAT and its attunement.
Sacrifice an astronaut? How?
It's not entirely clear how the death would fuel it, but the intent was there. Woolrich, a veteran operative from the shadowy, majestic era.
Majestic, like UFO cover-ups.
Exactly, a period notorious for its deep government involvement in suppressing supernatural and extraterrestrial truths, often through, let's say, morally dubious means. Woolrich orchestrated this catastrophic operation, pulling every string he could to prove the value of expanding the program's remit.
So the program is behind this too.
Seems like it. Woolrich demonstrated a terrifying resolve to achieve the mission at any cost, believing the results would justify the sacrifices no matter how extreme.
Wow.
And the cost was steep, not just in lives, but in sanity. During a spacewalk, strange ethereal entities began to manifest around the BLACKSAT.
Entities? Like aliens?
Not exactly. They're called derivatives. Spacetime distortions, described as coiled energy with shapes defined by thought.
Shaped by thought, like Weintraub's idea.
Precisely. Weintraub had theorized them based on Cortis's white paper, which suggested spontaneous consciousnesses could be drawn out of the space shapes formed by these equations.
Okay.
And O'Neill, drawing upon his extensive occult knowledge, immediately recognized parallels to ancient tulpas, said to haunt Tibetan wise men, or even spirits and demons conjured by hypergeometric formulae.
Tulpas. Thought forms.
Kind of. But these weren't just abstract concepts or fleeting illusions. They were physically dangerous. An encounter with a derivative wasn't just psychologically harrowing. It could cause actual physical damage, permanently diminish a person's intelligence, and trigger severe sanity loss.
Physical damage. How?
The documents mentioned 1d10 physical damage, which sounds like jargon but implies real harm, sanity loss. It's described as the human mind being partially digested.
Digested. Oh, that's grotesque.
Imagine a creature that could literally digest parts of your mind, examining the matter form of cellular tissue by shifting through dimensions utterly alien to our understanding. If an astronaut's intelligence, presumably some measure of cognitive function, hit zero, they simply died. Their minds utterly consumed.
God.
The psychological toll of just witnessing these entities and the fumbling attempts of their newborn intelligence to feed, it would be unimaginable, leaving deep, irreparable scars on the survivors.
So the mission culminates in these horrific choices and unimaginable psychological torment. Astronauts are forced to confront the chilling reality of the kill switches, realizing their comrades could be sacrificed at any moment to further the mission.
Yeah, the paranoia must have been intense.
They witness the suffering of those around them, the physical and mental deterioration, and navigate this desperate situation where O'Neill, with his history of spectacular extrasensory visions, might be attempting some kind of ritual. He was apparently chanting in an unknown language with too many consonants during the most critical moments of the mission's attunement.
Chanting, right when they needed focus.
Exactly. The pressure to sacrifice an astronaut and the very real potential for a derivative to completely digest a human mind. It pushed the crew to the absolute brink of sanity and survival, stripping away all notions of conventional space exploration.
And the aftermath of BLACKSAT is a stark illustration of extreme measures and profound, brutal secrecy. Publicly, the story is spun as a major malfunction.
A cover-up.
A massive one, involving atmospheric components and an internal fire carefully crafted to explain any physical injuries or even the destruction of the craft. The careers of surviving flight personnel are utterly wrecked, their expertise discarded, grounded after hastily conducted hearings that place blame squarely on them, as well as on Scalzo and Woolrich.
So they scapegoated the survivors.
Pretty much. The world, of course, is kept entirely ignorant of the hypergeometric horrors they faced. The classified documents state unequivocally that no one wants to hear what you dreamt about. It underscores the deep, almost existential secrecy surrounding these events and the unnatural forces at play. This isn't just about covering up a failed mission. It's about suppressing a reality too terrifying for humanity to comprehend.
And Woolrich, the guy in charge.
Even Woolrich, the orchestrator, meets a mysterious end in a single car accident. And his former colleagues at the program don't mourn much, suggesting he became a liability after this catastrophic operation. It's a testament to how far these shadow organizations will go to preserve our collective ignorance.
So the silent void of space held its own brand of cosmic horror and classified secrets, forcing humanity to confront things that shouldn't be. But what happens when the uncanny isn't a new frontier, but an ancient, festering evil woven into the very fabric of our oldest cultures?
Oh, good transition.
Our next account takes us from orbital coldness to the rugged ancient mountains of Afghanistan in night visions. Our story shifts to 2011, where a U.S. Army fire team is on a diplomatic mission, a far cry from fighting in orbit.
Right. Boots on the ground this time.
Their objective: forge an alliance with a reclusive, despised ethnic group known as the Gaths, who inhabit a remote river-carved valley. The mission is to secure a strong point against the Taliban, a seemingly straightforward military objective, but one that quickly descends into something far more ancient and terrifying.
Yeah, and one striking aspect here is the Gaths themselves, a people shrouded in millennia of mystery and a truly disturbing lineage.
How so?
Their physical appearance is unique, described as blending the prominent noses and striking gray eyes of their Pashto neighbors with flatter faces, straighter hair, and epicanthic folds, hinting at an origin much further east, like maybe East Asia or Southeast Asia.
Okay, so a mix.
But the classified documents reveal a far more shocking history. Over 1,500 years ago, this group apparently acquired an unnatural patron and left Thailand for Afghanistan.
An unnatural patron, what does that mean?
It means exactly what it sounds like, some kind of entity.
Yeah.
And they have been becoming less and less human every year since.
Less?
Yeah. This isn't just cultural isolation. It's a centuries-long biological and possibly supernatural degeneration. So profound that analysis of Gath DNA would fascinate any biologist in a way that would make Delta Green very nervous.
Delta Green. Okay, so we're talking deep-level weirdness here.
Absolutely. For those unfamiliar, Delta Green is another highly secretive organization dedicated to combating these kinds of unnatural threats. So the mention implies a truly profound, almost alien biological alteration. We're talking about a group whose very essence has been warped by an ancient unnatural pact, making them fundamentally different from any other human population.
And their physical traits.
They're merely the outward, subtle signs of a deeper inward corruption.
And their valley, a natural fortress, is central to their survival and their horrifying secret. It's isolated and difficult to access, providing excellent cover against modern artillery and air power.
Right, a tactical advantage.
A crucial defensive feature, and indeed central to their survival, is their ancient primitive tenacity dam, composed of wood, stone, and thickened mud. This dam, which looks fragile even in distant photos, is constantly attended to. Young Gath men even swim in icy waters to inspect and repair its base.
So it's vital infrastructure for them.
Absolutely. It's their lifeline, holding back the water that forms their lake for fishing and, as we'll soon discover, concealing a much darker, ancient secret beneath its calm surface.
Okay, delving deeper into this, the dam has a far more unsettling significance beyond just defense and water supply. The documents describe great skeletons of Téuthan, ritually dumped for centuries at the bottom of the drained lake.
Skeletons.
Yeah, which become visible only if the dam bursts.
Yeah.
These aren't ordinary bones. They have human-like skulls and forearms, but are made of exotic compounds that crystallize instead of decaying.
Crystallized, not fossilized.
crystallized. It suggests a non-human, or at least post-human origin, a silent, horrifying testament to the entities that the Gaths are intrinsically linked to. The very ground they live on is a graveyard to these unnatural creatures, a centuries-old repository of their unnatural patrons' offspring.
That's deeply creepy.
Seeing them would inflict a profound psychological shock, costing a significant measure of sanity due to their utterly unnatural appearance. They are so fragile in open air that even walking close to one crumbles it to dust, swiftly erasing the evidence, almost as if reality itself recoils from their presence.
Wow. Okay, so Gath society, its very existence revolves around a mysterious and unsettling figure, the Armat.
The Armat, right?
She is not merely a leader, she's a community high priestess who resides in the largest structure in the valley, a stone blockhouse adorned with generations of human skulls cemented to its exterior walls.
Human skulls.
Oh, boy. These skulls range from ancient, collapsed dust to ones with modern crowns and fillings, hinting at a continuous macabre practice spanning centuries. Her role involves a ritualistic act every 8.5 years, a horrifying cycle of renewal and birth that underpins their entire way of life.
8.5 years? That's oddly specific.
Isn't it? The Armat doesn't move more than a few steps unassisted, often wheeled about on a padded carriage made of spare auto and dirt bike parts, decorated with fragments of dark rainbow-stained matter from the sacred Cave of the Source.
Cave of the Source.
Her round, cherubic face is unlined, but her skin and hair are stained with strange colorations, marks of what the Gathan call the radiance of Ebidlith, a disturbing physical manifestation of her connection to their patron.
Bidlith, the patron. This particular detail brings up an important point. What exactly is this ritual, and who is a Bidlith?
Right.
The Armat ritually marries a Bidlith and becomes mother to a Téuthan. A Bidlith, translated by locals as the Sky Howler, is clearly the unnatural patron from their ancient past, the entity that warped their lineage over a millennium ago.
So she marries this entity and gives birth.
Seems so. The Gaths also produce kunkalu dumplings, explicitly described as toasted wheat dumplings in pudding, mixed with meat and blood.
Meat and blood. Wait, human meat?
The implication is strong, yes. Cannibalism. The Armat consumes these to grow larger. This grotesque, cannibalistic diet prepares her for the birth of the Téuthan, which is far from a human child.
Okay, what is a Téuthan then?
The Téuthan itself is the child of the Armat and a Bidlith, described as a horrific entity. Long, thin torsos, 6 to 8 meters long and 1 meter wide.
6 to 8 meters, that's huge.
Enormous, with mostly transparent flesh. Through its bones, orange veins and differently shaded organs are visible, topped with hairless heads featuring pronounced overbites with fist-sized teeth.
Oh God, transparent flesh.
These are not creatures of earthly biology, but something profoundly alien and terrifying. Children of a truly monstrous union. The Gaths believe these monstrous offspring protect them. It's an alarming example of a civilization built upon abomination, thriving on a pact that demands unimaginable horror.
And imagine being the American soldiers thrust into this situation. The mission forces them into impossible situations, witnessing acts of cannibalism firsthand, such as the gruesome feast of a Taliban prisoner served as arms, legs, ribs, and heads.
Jesus.
They are also exposed to the summoning of these terrifying Téuthan, realizing the true nature of the Gath's protection. The Armat lies, saying summoning them is difficult and painful, when in fact the Gaths are joyful, reverent, and the Téuthan emerge from a space coterminous with the Armat, as if literally birthed from her presence.
They like summoning these things.
Apparently. Some locals even know a devil-blocking hymn to ward them off, a grim indication of the widespread fear and knowledge of these entities among the regional populace.
A hymn to block devils.
This devil-blocking song, a simple ritual, has the power to repel a Téuthan, but activating it comes with a high sanity cost, suggesting a deep, ancient understanding of how to combat these children of Shaitan, as the local prisoners call them, passed down through generations.
Right, the cost of knowledge, or maybe the cost of confronting that reality.
Exactly.
The ultimate resolution to this chilling encounter is brutal and absolute. Whether the soldiers make a desperate escape, witnessing their comrades fried, smothered, or consumed by the Téuthan, or are forced into a horrifying alliance to survive, the valley's secrets are violently contained.
How contained?
About a week after the soldiers return to base, the ground shakes and the night flares with an immense explosion only a few kilometers away. A long-range cruise missile has struck Gath Valley, utterly obliterating the village.
Obliterated, just like that.
Wiped off the map. This devastating event never makes the news. a detail that chills you to the bone.
Wow.
This highlights the extreme measures taken by unseen powers, presumably the program or similar clandestine entities, to erase any trace of these unnatural encounters and the horrific, evolving Gath-Téuthan symbiosis.
So another cleanup job.
A very final one. The very existence of such a place and its inhabitants is deemed too dangerous to be known, too dangerous to even be allowed to continue. It reinforces the theme of a hidden world violently suppressed, its horrors swept under the rug of official silence.
From ancient evils festering in remote mountains, we now transition to a threat that literally comes from our own future, twisting our understanding of time itself.
Right, shifting gears again.
Our next case, Sick Again, takes us to Hudson's Well, Arizona, where a CDC quick response team is deployed to combat an unidentified infectious disease referred to simply as thumpathy, with a blank space in the name.
_phopathy. Yeah, that's weird in itself.
Right. This isn't your average outbreak. It's steeped in a temporal paradox that would shatter our understanding of biology and physics, presenting a threat that literally originates from tomorrow.
Yeah, and one striking aspect here is the genesis of this disease. It traces back to two disgraced physicists, Rosamund Keart and Jeffrey Langsweil.
Disgraced. Why?
Keart's pioneering research at Caltech in the early 2000s, which explored ghost particle emissions and dimensional topography, was basically ridiculed by the mainstream scientific establishment.
Oh, the classic story.
But her work secretly attracted the attention of a shadowy organization known only as the Program.
Them again.
The very same. The clandestine entity responsible for BLACKSAT. For you listening, think of them as an ultra-secretive government initiative dedicated to investigating and containing phenomena that defy conventional science, often through extreme and morally ambiguous means.
Okay.
Keart herself was obsessed with the Philadelphia experiment, the purported disappearance of the USS Eldridge in 1943, a story long dismissed as a hoax, but which she believed held a key to her own theories.
The Philadelphia experiment. Wow, that's a tap cut.
Right. Her team, inadvertently following in Majestic's footsteps, stumbled upon a temporal anomaly. On November 19, 2012, they accidentally closed a time loop that had opened aboard the USS Eldridge on October 28, 1943.
They closed a time loop. How do you even do that?
Good question. The documents aren't specific on a how, just the what. And in doing so, they created a second, smaller hole through spacetime, right in Keart's basement lab. This wasn't a planned scientific breakthrough. It was a catastrophic, accidental unraveling of the very fabric of spacetime.
A hole in space-time
Right.
in her basement.
Yeah.
And from this terrifying wormhole, a visitor emerged. A woman named Thartha, clearly human, but of extraordinary stature.
How tall?
She was enormously tall, standing 2.3 meters, that's about 7 feet 6 inches, and weighing 120 kilograms or 265 pounds.
Oh.
Her features were angular, with almond-shaped brown eyes, brown hair in a braid, and dark tanned skin, but most strikingly, she had leathery feet with a partially prehensile big toe.
Prehensile toe, like she can grab things with it.
The document says partially, suggesting, some kind of adaptation to an unknown future environment, perhaps one where such a digit is useful for grasping.
Go here.
Thartha, a human from the future, was the unwitting carrier of the allopathy disease. In a desperate, futile attempt to prevent the disease's spread, she killed Langsweil, who had begun showing symptoms.
She killed her colleague.
Yeah. Then, overcome by the horror of what they had unleashed, Keart later took her own life with an overdose of oxycodone. Hudson's Well was already dying, not just from a conventional infection, but from a plague that Thartha, inoculated against it in her own time, could not be harmed by, yet ironically brought with her.
What's truly horrifying here is the disease itself. Hydathy is caused by unknown microbes, far smaller than canophores or jellyfish, but multicellular, and they attack nerve fibers and feed on electrical impulses.
Feed on electricity, like nerve signals.
Exactly. Its progression is terrifying. It starts with common, almost innocuous symptoms like headaches, coughing, and vomiting, but rapidly escalates to severe sensory and motor impairment, profound memory loss, and radical mood changes.
Okay, that's bad, but...
But then comes stage 3. Victims begin to sense end space itself.
Sense end space? What does that even feel like?
Well, imagine that. End space, a concept describing non-Euclidean space, multiple dimensions, became something physically perceived by the victims. This overwhelming, incomprehensible sensory input drives them violently self-destructive.
Oh.
They literally attempt to gouge out their own eyes, pierce their eardrums, or tear out their tongues to stop the unbearable sensations, trying to destroy their own sensory organs just to find a moment of peace.
That's just Horrific. I can't even imagine.
The microbes even exhibit bizarre behavior, with some darting at others to devour them, causing the victim's retinas to glow a dark violet. Witnessing this internal reality-warping madness would inflict profound psychological trauma, costing significant sanity as you watch someone literally try to tear themselves apart from the inside out.
So the CDC team scrambles desperately to find a cure, and in a bizarre, almost unbelievable twist, they discover that electrical currents may disrupt the microbes.
Electricity, shocking them.
Yeah. Treatments like MRIs, defibrillation, or even massive electrocution like from a high-voltage power transmission line can cure the infection, though with immense risk of damage or death to the patient.
How does an MRI help?
An MRI works by exciting protons in tissues, which then release radio waves. Apparently, this disrupts the microbe's consciousness and coherence, essentially scrambling their ability to function. It points to a fundamental vulnerability of these alien microbes, but also to the extreme, almost desperate measures required to combat them.
Wow.
This insight is eerily tied to a brownout that occurred near Kiert's house on November 19, 2012, precisely when the time loop opened, suggesting a direct connection. Researchers exposed to the disease even found temporary relief from symptoms when near high-capacity transmission lines.
So it's like the disease is a form of living biological electricity that can be short-circuited.
Seems like it, almost.
Okay, but this particular detail brings up an important mind-bending question. The paradox of time travel. An Ouroboros of a plague. During Thartha's autopsy, the researchers discover inoculation dates tattooed on her arm, with the last word clearly visible as Pathy 2.1C225.
Hold on. Underscore papathy, the name they just gave it.
Exactly. The disease they just named in the present already had that name in Thartha's future. It suggests a closed time loop where Thartha, while traveling back, accidentally spread the very disease she was inoculated against, thus creating the future epidemic from which she came.
That makes my head hurt. A self-creating plague.
It's a terrifying self-fulfilling prophecy of a plague, one that seems to defy any linear sense of cause and effect. Her autopsy also revealed other profound anomalies. Her bones were reinforced with a smooth plastic or resin, making them extremely tough.
Future tech.
Presumably. And her sternum inexplicably opened before the scalpel made its cut, as if already prepared.
What? How?
No idea. And during this bizarre autopsy, a violet flash erupted from her body, and a researcher vanished in a deafening pop of displaced air, compressed out of our dimensions along with Thartha's corpse.
Vanished. Just gone.
Gone. This visceral, mind-shattering event, witnessing a person simply cease to exist, inflicted a profound loss of sanity on those who witnessed it. It confirms that the very fabric of reality was actively resisting this temporal breach, violently trying to close the wounds Kiert had opened.
The debriefing after this crisis underscores the profound, almost apocalyptic implications. The agents tasked with the cleanup, presumably from the program that initially took interest in Kiert's work, insist on total, absolute secrecy.
Back to the cover-up.
Right. They argue that revealing this disease that came from the future would not only completely rewrite medicine and physics as we understand them, but also unleash unimaginable chaos and countless more deaths as humanity struggled to grasp such a paradox.
So ignorance is bliss, basically.
Their conviction is absolute. Protecting the public means burying this entire affair, eradicating every single trace. Surviving researchers who cooperate might be considered for recruitment into this shadowy organization.
Ah, the recruitment pitch.
But those who balk and attempt to go public face complete discrediting, social media pillorying, threatening phone calls, cyber harassment, and potentially job loss. The truth, in this case, is deemed far too dangerous for humanity to bear, suggesting a chilling calculation of the costs of ignorance versus the costs of knowledge.
Yeah, the price of knowing versus the price of not knowing.
From the future's disease, we shift now to a more insidious biological manipulation of the present. For our final deep dive, we turn to Wormwood Arena, an investigation into the seemingly harmless harmonic bliss cult in Leavenworth, Kansas.
Harmonic bliss sounds nice enough.
On the surface, it's just another new age group promoting compassion, understanding, and compliance, led by the eccentric Estelle Knox. But the unsettling disappearance of the Galworthy family, particularly their daughter Meredith, and a peculiar glyph of harmony on a cult pamphlet, hint at something far more sinister bubbling beneath the surface of this innocuous philosophy.
Yeah, and one striking aspect here is how mundane and insidious the cult's influence is. A slow, almost imperceptible erosion of autonomy, masked by positive reinforcement.
How does that work?
Their practices, like body instrumentation practice, which are essentially group massages and hugging act as powerful love bombing, making new adherents feel welcome and esteemed, drawing them deeply into the fold.
Classic cult tactic.
Right. And the Omega Reader, a device supposedly gauging a seeker's harmony with the music of the cosmos, is in fact far less mystical. It merely measures the electrical conductivity of skin, a clever but ultimately meaningless deception.
So it's fake tech.
Totally fake. But the real power behind harmonic bliss comes from something far more disturbing and truly alien. Fungal spores of unknown origin.
Fungal spores?
Yeah. These bacteria-sized spores, when inhaled or ingested, form rudimentary sense arrays and mini-manufactories within the human body.
Mini-manufactories. Inside you.
In sufficient numbers, they generate powerful chemicals that can subtly influence human behavior, from inducing euphoria and anxiety to causing somnolence, a heightened sense of erotic frisson, or even severe, debilitating pain. This isn't spiritual enlightenment. It's a subtle biological manipulation, turning people into unwitting puppets.
That's deeply disturbing. So the true architect of this manipulation isn't human at all. It's Kaughrenkhal.
Kaughrenkhal. How do you spell that?
Kaughrenkhal. It's an ancient, inert organic mass that a biologist might simply call a sediment layer composed of biological runoff.
Biological runoff, so like sentient sludge.
Kind of. This entity, whose biology is so slow and strange that its very aliveness is almost impossible to discern, lay dormant in Arcadia Junction, Kansas, waiting for millennia, perhaps since the dawn of time.
Waiting for what?
It only partially awakened after a 1999 train crash spilled MTBZ, or methyl tert butyl ether, at the Arcadia Junction site, saturating its hidden lair. This chemical, this toxic waste, is its fuel.
MTBE, like gasoline additive.
Exactly. Stacy Galworthy, a hapless, middle-aged grad student from the University of Missouri, Kansas City, inadvertently discovered the entity while collecting samples at this toxic waste site 4 years ago. She became the first human to become heavily infested by its spores, rationalizing the induced euphoria as a sign that harmonic bliss was working, slowly becoming its unwitting pawn, its first true convert.
So she thought the spores making her feel good was enlightenment.
Pretty much.
Wow. And from a broader perspective, Estelle Knox herself is also a pawn, her memories warped and rewritten by Kaughrenkhal.
The cult leader, she's controlled too.
Completely. She genuinely believes the Galworthys moved on to a greater state of harmony, just as her deceased father supposedly did, when in fact Meredith Galworthy is being kept alive as a long-term source of energy by the entity in its basement cave temple.
Kept alive as food.
Or energy. The nest is built from the desiccated bodies of numerous small mammals, a truly grotesque setting for the imprisoned girl, a chilling testament to the entity's true nature.
Oh, God.
Kaughrenkhal cannot understand English, but it sensed Stacy's admiration for Knox and her usefulness. It sedated Estelle, carved the glyph of harmony into the house's concrete foundation, and then warped her memories with a carefully calculated dose of adrenaline, GABA, and oxytocin, making her receptive and believing in a mystic apotheosis.
So it drugged her and implanted memories.
Essentially, yeah. And the glyph of harmony on the pamphlet, while utterly powerless when human-made, becomes a potent tool when activated by Kaughrenkhal. It infuses targets with unnatural affection and compliance. It's a tool for mass psychic and biological manipulation, turning a symbol of peace into an instrument of control.
During cult meetings, the atmosphere is one of forced bliss. Estelle proudly reveals the concrete slab bearing the carved glyph of harmony, claiming it's the symbol of harmony and a blessing from the universe.
The one Kaughrenkhal carved.
Exactly. She encourages followers to ingest the spores, leading to a jolt of ecstasy that's almost orgasmic for those already conditioned by the fungal spores. For you, imagine the sheer sensory overload, the manipulated bliss that would make these people so compliant.
Yeah. Easy to see how they'd get hooked.
But the confrontation, if it occurs, forces agents to make brutal choices. Destroy the glyph, which immediately causes a spasm of misery and fear in those infested, potentially revealing their true, biologically manipulated state.
So breaking the connection hurts them.
Or risk the cultists biting themselves and offering their blood to fully awaken the entity. The cultists, infused with unnatural affection and compelled by the spores, become extensions of Kaughrenkhal's will, blurring the lines between victim and aggressor, making any intervention morally agonizing.
Right. They're not fully in control. This particular detail brings up an important point. What can Kaughrenkhal truly do when fully active and sufficiently nourished by blood and MTBE?
What can it do?
Its abilities are horrifying and profoundly unnatural. It can reformat brain,
Reformat brain.
like a computer. Worse, it takes about 30 hours of uninterrupted effort, where it essentially removes a human's brain and nervous system, replacing them with spores to create a mute remote drone, an outgrowth of its own consciousness.
Good grief, a biological drone.
Or, even more grotesquely, it can reformat body, replacing muscle and skin tissue to create grotesque beings that still retain some memories and sense of identity, but are slaves to its will, their bodies no longer truly their own.
Oh, man.
These creatures are things that should not be, and seeing them would inflict profound psychological trauma. The entity needs copious amounts of blood and MTBE to remain mobile and psychically potent, draining an average person dry for just 3 or 4 hours of mobility.
So it needs constant fuel.
Constantly. Its goals are terrifyingly clear. Finding more of its kind, establishing long-term supplies of blood and chemicals remaining hidden, constructing temples, recruiting followers, and creating more glyphs to extend its insidious influence across the region, perhaps even the world.
The ultimate outcome is grim, regardless of how the agents respond. Preventing Cochrane Call from fully awakening and unleashing its horrifying powers might require extreme measures, including violence against cultists who are, in essence, biologically manipulated victims.
Terrible choice.
If agents destroy the glyph, the infested cultists react with misery and fear, prompting Estelle to desperately seek it out and reestablish the connection. Failing to contain it means unleashing a lesser godlike entity that could embark on a bloody rampage, leaving a trail of bloodless cattle and transients in its wake, systematically expanding its domain.
A rampage.
Lovely.
There's even the chilling possibility that if agents massacre everyone at the farm, they might stymie the entity for a time, but its last human infectee might utter its name, giving a new lead to Arcadia Junction, ensuring its eventual reemergence.
So it's almost impossible to truly stop it.
It seems incredibly difficult. The moral cost of combating such a threat is immense, forcing protagonists to make choices that blur the line between heroism and atrocity, all to protect a world that remains blissfully ignorant.
So what does this all mean for us? From the silent, terrifying dance of hypergeometry in space, manifesting as mind-devouring entities, to the ancient, flesh-eating horror in the Afghan mountains, with its centuries of unnatural packs and grotesque offspring.
Right.
From the time-bending plague in Arizona, a disease from the future that reshapes our understanding of biology and paradox, to the mind-controlling cult in Kansas, a parasitic entity manipulating human emotion and will. These 4 scenarios, disparate in their settings and specifics, paint a deeply unsettling picture for you.
They really do.
They show us a world where the boundaries of science and the occult are porous, where our most advanced technologies can inadvertently open doors to unimaginable threats, and where ancient evils fester, awaiting the right conditions to awaken. They highlight that the unknown isn't just out there, it's intricately woven into the very fabric of our perceived reality, sometimes dormant, sometimes actively provoked.
And this raises an important question. In each of these cases, ordinary people, elite astronauts, U.S. Army soldiers, CDC doctors, and FBI agents were forced to confront realities that shattered their understanding of the universe.
Completely shattered.
Their choices often involved immense personal sacrifice, morally compromising acts, and the grim necessity of maintaining absolute secrecy. We see classified missions that sacrifice human lives for impossible things, diplomatic missions ending in long-range missile strikes, medical teams forced to hide a disease that defies time, and agents battling mind-controlled cultists who are both victims and aggressors.
It's a recurring theme, isn't it? The cover-up, the hard choices.
Exactly. So is our greatest danger the unknown forces themselves, or our desperate, often flawed attempts to control and conceal them? The human response, the fear of chaos, often perpetuates a cycle of hidden horror, creating a secret war against phenomena that our science cannot explain and our ethics struggle to contain. The very act of protecting humanity from these truths seems to inevitably lead to more profound and terrible choices, often sacrificing the few to keep the many in the dark.
Consider this then as you go about your day. In the face of such profound reality-bending threats, where does the line between protection and suppression truly lie?
Good question.
And what if the very act of seeking to understand these uncanny valley phenomena by pushing the boundaries of science and exploring the hidden corners of our world is precisely what calls them into being?
A troubling thought.
Thank you for joining us on this exploration of the chilling, the impossible, and the deeply unsettling. This has been the Uncanny Valley Podcast.